Hello, everybody. Crazy day in Sorcery, huh? We had Dragon Lord sell out in 2.5 hours. We had a rules update. All hell broke loose. And I think I would like to go through the rules with everybody here. I will say there's a lot of rules that have updated. There's now a Codex on Curiosa. I'll show at the end of this. Um, so I'm going to do high level rules here. And if anybody has any more questions or little nitpicky things, go over to Lord of Itz's live stream Friday the 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Let's just get into it here. Wonderful flavor from probably Chase, I'm guessing. I'm not going to read it out for you, but these rules are effect immediately, which is the big update here. Um, keep moving through here. Strike the realm, or at least sites. This is, I feel like, the biggest change. Um, no enemy in your path, no problem. You can now strike undefended sites. So, City of Glass, that was just spoiled, says a when this site is struck. So I assume this is changing the rules for that site to work. Um, uh, but striking sites, we're going to just talk about this for a second. Striking sites is a huge fundamental shift in the way sorcery minions deal damage. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but the main one that everybody's like, oh, Dapro Vampire can now heal off of sites. That's not an insignificant change to how she works. That is a huge buff. I can't understate how big that is. There have been so many games playing as Archimago where I play Vampire, and it can't gain life, which is a issue. Or I had to play it in a dangerous spot to gain life, but then it gets removed. Now, as an Archimago player, you can play Vampire back safely and blink it up and attack an undefended site and gain 4. This can't be understated. Also, a little bit of difference here. Lances now give +1 power to attacking sites, which is weird, but I'm sure that one feels a little fine. Sometimes you want to hold on to that lance so you can't get hit by a lethal minion, say, or something like that. But this is, I feel like, the biggest change here. This is watch out for Vampire. um, Interaction on the realm. This is another, I think, a good nerf to a card. Morgana Le Fay. Stealth now breaks after a unit interacts with the realm. So interacting with the realm now has its own like definition, and I think there are like 4 different ways to interact with the realm. It's dealing damage, strike damage, casting something, or using an ability. Um, 99% sure that's what it is. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But Morgana now doesn't get 3 free cards. She can replace herself. So I feel like this kind of brings her more in line with Magoo, not Magoo. Sorry, I got the Archimago brain. Merlin brings her more in line with Merlin. Merlin can sometimes just like replace himself. You play him for 3, you have 6 sights out, you get 1 spell off of him. Great, he replaced it himself. Anything more than that is gravy. Morgana was so much better than that. Stealth meant she was very hard to remove, and so I feel like this just brings her back in line just a little bit. And hopefully that kind of like is a little bit of a nerf to stealth as well. Questing Beast. Now, if he uses his ability, that's interacting with the realm. I'm pretty sure. So he will break stealth. So nerf to Questing Beast. And another one here is you cannot drop artifacts or held items when you've interacted with the realm. So that's casting a spell again. The big thing here They talked about it in the main sorcery video rules update, is Death Speaker. Death Speaker can no longer like juggle philo stones or what have you, and like getting 6 or 7 mana discount, something crazy, because he hands it off to a Grandmaster Wizard and gets more discounts. Now that is like kind of like not a whole lot of people were doing that, but that seems broken. You can really chain stuff together, and yeah. So I like that change. That seems reasonable. Brings it in line with like artifacts, and you can't drop them after attacking, so you can't drop things after you do something, which feels good. Avatars can now fly. I guess they were worried about like Death's Door things and like giving your avatar flying on your opponent's turn, so then their opponent's minions couldn't hit it. And so like probably back in alpha beta testing, like before the game was really like announced and everything, it was probably much more mid-range, and minions did all the damage. And so having an airborne avatar was like, oh, how can I kill you? I can't punch you with my avatar or with my minions. So airborne had a special rule saying avatars can't be airborne. So they've now removed that, because there are so many ways to take your opponents to door, or to hit them for the final death blow when they're on the airborne. There's lots of spells, direct damage spells that do it. There's grapple shot. It's a lot of spells, but there's a lot of ways to still deal with that. So I think airborne's kind of cool here. Another big one here is immobile means immobile. I've taught a good number of people to play, and they always ask, can Pudge attack the site he's on? Well, now he can, which is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. So immobile minions can now attack the sites they are on. They still cannot move. Immobile means you can't walk. You can't walk yourself, but you can still blink and grapple shot and do things that way. This does mean Quagmire and Bog and what's another? Entangled Terrain. All these things that like immobilize your enemy's units are now much worse. I think Quagmire becomes almost unplayable. Same thing with Entangled Terrain. Like Entangled Terrain can still kind of like hold things to your opponent's side, but they already have to be on that site. If they're on your side, it's already too late. So that's rough for the Entangled Terrain. I know that was a common sense target for some control decks, but I think on a whole, immobile means immobile is a great change. Pudge Butcher scares literally daylights out of me. That's a bit of a problem. Watch out. Vampires and Pudge Butchers are the two minions that got huge buffs here. You means you. Spark Mage had a weird ruling where it wasn't Spark Mage dealing the damage or something. From now on, you and you are always referred to the player, not the avatar. Perfect ruling there. A very concise statement. I like that one. Big units and clearer language. Oversized units have always pushed the bounds of the board, but how do cards say its site or its location interact? You pick a single site or location it occupies respectively. So I think it's just kind of like, how do I target large minions? I don't think you can now like submerge a large minion on a water site if they have a toe on an earth site. I don't think you can do that. Maybe there's like Stormy Seas or Cave In maybe works. I'm not entirely sure on that one. I'll let Josh deal with that. Again, Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Go bug Josh. I think that's just like more cleaning up of rules, which just feels great. Another one here is Intercept to Stain. Hell yeah. I fucking love Intercept. Intercept is so good. Intercept is a depth to the game that is really enjoyable, especially when your opponent is at Death's Door. That's when it matters the most, where you can use minions to like push them around. It's like, oh, I can't walk into you. I know Ira's TTS League has been playing without Intercept for the last 2 seasons, and it doesn't come up all the time, but when it does come up, it really comes up. especially at Death's Door. Another one is spin attack. So like you can no longer walk your minion onto an opponent's site with a unit and spin attack for free. Now that's only Ira's TTS League, but Intercept is staying. I will actually go over to the Codex to read more about Intercept. So here's the Codex. You come over to Curiosa, you hit Codex, and it comes with this wonderful search function. You search whatever you want, and it has all these keywords. And honestly, this is really good. I really like this. This is great. Kudos to Ira for working on this, and kudos to Ruben for programming that. Like looks really, really good. So nice job, both of you. So Intercept. I'll just read out the definition of Intercept. Intercept is a basic ability that allows you to fight your opponent's units who move and attack, which is a basic ability, without actually attacking. So you tap and move and declare no attacks. A unit must be untapped to intercept. It is one of two basic abilities that you can use on your opponent's turn. The other one is defend. Intercept is a triggered ability with the following text. When an enemy is using its move and attack ability, finishes its movement and does not attack. Keyword here is finishes its movement and does not attack. Those are the conditions you need to trigger Intercept. Any of your units there may tap to intercept and fight that enemy. So there's three conditions here. Your opponent has to use its move and attack ability when it finishes the movement and does not attack. And there, we'll move down here to intercept movement plus X. Okay, so movement plus X is a really good way to show how Intercept now works. Previously, you could tap and move into this location and you can intercept. Makes sense, cool. Even before that, since Rimland Nomads has +1 movement, you can tap and move through and you could intercept with Dragonets. That is not how it's working now. Intercepts is now the final location is what matters. So if I had a Rimland Nomads tap and move 1, 2 and not attack, you can intercept with Dragonets. The key here is that the end location is the location with the untapped unit. What Rimland Nomads can still do is tap, declare movement here, and attack Arid Desert, and you can defend with Dragonets. There's no intercept in this scenario. Intercept only matters when the final location of my movement is at a location with an untapped enemy minion. So I tap, move to this location, and don't attack. I've used my move and attack ability, and now Dragonets can tap to intercept. Intercept matters about the final location. And hopefully this has helped people understand the new rules changes. So thank you everybody for joining. It was a crazy day. And Chase and EC and Eric, whoever's listening, if Dragon Lord has playable high impact cards and we have availability issues, I'm going to be very frustrated, gentlemen. But thank you everybody. Thank you for joining. Can't wait for Gen Con. SCG Baltimore sounds great. See everybody next time.